And we're live. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. This is Mark Vlogs Watches, and I am your host, Mark Goldberg. Those pictures look very crooked on the wall, but actually, I think it's more to do with my computer. Guys, although I am live streaming this, I am doing it so that I can quickly post an update to my YouTube channel. I have been busy writing a book. As you fellas know, I am a world famous dog author. You can get this one at Amazon or electronically anywhere in the world. Anyway, what writing a book means that I'm like mentally focused, obsessed, not so much about quick fist watches, Seiko tuna, but about my book. So that means I have a lot less time to do these videos. So pardon me for that. However, the live stream hits me when I have a couple of minutes and I can do it. Today, we are going to talk not to the guys in the peanut gallery. I will pull one together later in the day for you fellas. But in fact, today, what I'm going to be doing is reading a viewer mail on the phone and responding to that. So this will not be as tightly edited. Forgive me for any gaps and while I look through my phone. But first, let's see. Ian writes me and he says, and in fact, let me just show you. This is what Ian sent me, that picture. Look at that. That is both a Panda Daytona and a black Daytona. What a gorgeous pair of matching watches. So here's what Ian has to say. Hey, Mark, I've been watching your channel now for a few years and I still enjoy your content. I have messaged you before, but about another watch. I have a really nice AD in London. That's where Ian is at, in London, England. And he has always been good to me. And I've never been made to buy something I don't want, which is like amazing because he sold you that black and that Panda. And then you never forced anything else down your throat. So that is really a tremendous AD. And in London, I say that with a bit of surprise because London is a heavy tourist city. Not the last couple of years, so much. But generally speaking, London, heavy tourism city, which means you have all kinds of randoms walking into the AD going, hey, you got this, you got that. And it's always going to be the Daytona. Never made me buy something that I don't want. I only have a small collection of Rolex, 6. Well, Ian, you're doing pretty good. I think I got 7, so 6, that's a hell of a Rolex collection. But they are all steel models, and I'm a little like you, watch mad. I bought the Daytona black dial just over 13 months ago. So the black one he got first, and he got that a little over a year ago. And then just under 2 weeks ago, I bought the Daytona Panda from my AD again. I am so happy having both. That's crazy. That's incredible. Guys, every time, we talk about Rolex and say, you have to get on the wait list and how to romance the AD, people, go crazy saying, oh, screw that. I am not, kissing butt to get a Rolex. But as I've been telling you over and over and over and over and over again, this is about relationships. Okay. When the AD sells you a watch, he's really giving you the watch in one hand and like a pile of money in the other hand. And he just doesn't want you flashing it around, meaning he doesn't want you flipping the watch. And that's because their Rolex rep, is kind of keeping track of, in some sense, of who they're selling to, reporting back to Geneva, Switzerland, if your AD is selling to people who are flipping. That doesn't reflect well on the AD, and it could cost them eventually the business, the line. Rolex could pull the line. Okay. So this is why I'm saying it is worth taking the time to, to build a relationship. Because look what happened to Ian. 2 Pandas in a year almost. I want people to know that not all ADs are the same and that some are really good ones if you treat them the way that you would like to be treated, i.e. with manners and a little respect. I find this goes a very long way. I don't do social media, but if you do and you get the time, maybe explain to the guys, there are still some good ADs out there. Just don't be rude or abrupt. And maybe you might get lucky like myself. Be lucky. Ian, that's a great letter. And I stand by, what Ian had to say there. I mean, the reality is it takes time to grease the wheels. Okay. But once they're going, once you have that relationship in place, as long as you don't like mess it up, then you should be able to enjoy it for years to come. And when I say mess it up, I don't think you should be flipping sorry, my computer's doing crazy things. I don't think you should be flipping a watch that you bought from an AD any sooner than, say, like 3 years. I mean, like, these guys know that, you know, you might eventually have to sell a watch. Everybody's entitled to sell their personal property, but if you sell it before 3 years, it's just not going to look good to your AD. Even then, I don't know. I still have my very first one from 1987. And I encourage you to do the same. Okay. Now in this next, it's going to take me a minute to like piece this together. Okay. But in my, I've got a letter here from Safwan, and I don't remember where he's from, but eventually it turned out that he's only 21 years old. So this is a young guy. He goes, "Good evening, Mark. I hope you are well. I'm wondering if I could get a little advice. I'm a huge fan of your videos, and I recently graduated, I think college, and I got a Breitling Top Time Triumph as a gift. I too suffer from an almost OCD-like obsession with keeping my watches clean and scratch-free. Unfortunately, today I scratched my watch, and I'm honestly devastated. The watch was bought from an AD, Watches of Switzerland, and has insurance from them too. However, I don't want to get it fully polished, as it's essentially brand new. In fact, it was just bought 2 weeks ago. It's a very high stainless steel polished watch, and the mark is not that visible in daylight, nor is it obvious to others. But as you have said in your previous videos, people like us see these things once and we just can't forget them. It bothers us. You know, as an aside, I have evolved in this way to understanding that wear and tear is probably the new patina, because these watches are so well designed anymore that they're not going to fade. The dials are not going to spider. The lume is not going to turn creamy or discolor. These guys have just perfected the manufacturing process. So the wear that you put on that watch that shows it has been used, I feel is going to become the new patina. It's just like buying a Chippendale chair or a Stradivarius. You know, if it looks showroom new, then its provenance is compromised. It's just like buying a classic car. People used to buy classic cars, rip out all the interior and rebuild them, and that was the style then. But today that destroys the value, and I think that's going to be true of watches. So don't worry so much about, oh my God, I put a mark on my watch. Good. It shows you're using it. But Safwan was disturbed by this. He says, "I'm fairly inexperienced with luxury watches, but I love this with all my heart, and I'd really like to take care of it. Would it be possible to attach some photos?" So I said, yeah, send me pictures. So let me show you what he sent me. Hang on, got to find them. Here we go. They're coming up. It's a nice watch, by the way. It's a Breitling. You guys know that I like my Breitling. Loading. Okay, so there's let me show you the scratch. I'm just going to like zero in like super hardcore on the scratch. And, obviously, you can see it there. But the thing is that Safwan has turned it into the light so that is catching the light. Because here, that scratch looks brutal. It's like up there. That scratch looks just brutal, right? Like, oh my God. But he says you can't even see it with the naked eye and in normal light. So what I asked him to do was I asked him to run his fingernail over that scratch and to report back to me if his fingernail catches in the scratch, which would give me a sense, because he was asking, slow down, Mark. Safwan was asking if he should polish it out himself with a Cape Cod cloth or take it to the dealer, the AD, and have them do something with it. So my advice to him was, didn't look good in the picture, but he said it wasn't visible in most light. So I asked him to run his fingernail over the scratch and to tell me if his fingernail caught in the scratch, or if it was just like detected in the scratch, or if it was barely at all detected in the scratch. And what he told me was, he said that it barely, like he could feel it, but it was barely there, and it definitely didn't catch. He definitely didn't catch. So what that tells me is that scratch is not that deep. In certain light, a gonk is going to look ridiculously bad, and that one does. But I told him that he could wipe it off with a Cape Cod cloth. But I said, look, at the end of the day, these are tool watches meant to be worn and used. Watches are so well constructed today that they don't show patina. Scratches are the new patina. Wear and tear is the new patina. funny thing, but when I buy a new car, and this is just me, when it eventually gets a little tiny mark or a ding in a parking lot from like a cart, I'm a little relieved. I don't know if you guys are mad, but I'm the guy who's a little relieved because I figure, okay, we got this over with. It's not new, it's not perfect anymore. Now I can just enjoy it without worrying about it and parking it at the end of the parking lot. So I told him to enjoy that watch and to remember the day that he'll always remember the day he banged into that filing cabinet or whatever it was. Okay. And he felt a whole lot better about that. So, okay. Let's see what else do we have here, guys. Give me a minute. Okay, this is from Stephen V. And Stephen says that he has a Rolex Sea Dweller 43 millimeter. That's the 50th anniversary version. And he said, I'm wondering, what is your prediction about the red font phase out? Your opinion is greatly appreciated. Stephen V from Chicago. Okay, first, let me narrow in on what we're talking about here. The 43 millimeter Sea Dweller is current production model. It's a 50th anniversary version. It has a helium escape, valve on the flank. I don't know, I can't figure it out. It has a helium escape valve on the flank integrated in. It's a 43 millimeter. I don't remember its thickness. It's a little thick. It's not insanely thick like the James Cameron or the Deep Sea Dweller. This is the Sea Dweller. And it has some text on there, but right at about the 6 o'clock or kind of in the middle of the dial underneath the hand stack, it says Sea Dweller in red text, which is what collectors want to see. Rolex is very, 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 very cheap with their red text. You have your red Submariner, which was, I think, I don't know, you guys tell me, 60s or 70s, and it's crazy expensive now. You have your double red, you have your old Sea Dweller from the 60s or 70s, the Comex era in red. Rolex hasn't done red text on a dive watch in a very long time. But a few years ago, they came out with it. And well, here's the thing, Stephen. I know exactly what you're talking about. But let me explain the maniac that is the watch collector to those of you who are not familiar with this watch. I like the watch, but it's not the most collectible of the Rolex dive watches because it's kind of big. The Submariner is far more collectible than the Sea Dweller. Always has been, probably always will be. The Submariner is the icon of the line, but that Sea Dweller is cool, and it has that line of red text. So I think Stephen is concerned about whether he should sell it or hold it, because is Rolex going to pull that red line out and then just turn it, white as the other text is? And here's the answer. Nobody knows, but I'm afraid also. Here's what I mean by I'm afraid. There has been a moment or two when I forgot the words of wisdom that our dearly departed friend Blue Shirt Buddha shared with us, which is never sell Rolex. Never sell Rolex, people. Just don't do it. You'll just find it hard to reacquire. You will miss it. And then you'll spend like stupid money getting it back because you're going to sell at gray market wholesale and then you'll buy back at gray market retail. Unless, like my first guy, you build a relationship with the AD, which some of you are too impatient to do. And admittedly, it can seem impossible. So I don't blame you for getting a little bit, itchy about it. But I digress. The red line, nobody knows. I'm afraid to sell mine because the day I sell it, Rolex is going to take that red line off of there and it will become a production model of only 5 or 6 years. And then it'll be an incredible classic and it'll be impossible to reacquire. Is Rolex going to keep that red line there for the next 30 years? They might. Does that affect the collectability of that watch? Probably. Do I care? No. And I don't care because my friend and yours, Blue Shirt Buddha, said, don't sell it. And the reason that he meant to say, don't sell your Rolex, I think the corollary to that is just, here's the Goldberg corollary, okay, to the Blue Shirt Buddha wisdom and philosophy. Blue Shirt said, don't sell Rolex. Goldberg says, feel the steel. Don't sell it. Enjoy it. Wear it. Use it. Mark it up. Be careful where you wear it. I mean, you got to be sensible these days. People get knocked over the head for Rolex all over the world. So, be judicious where you wear your Rolex. But by all means, feel the steel. I wouldn't obsess about that line of red. If Rolex discontinues that line of red, Stephen, your watch is going to probably, go up in value by 50%, like fast. That's not why you bought it. I hope not. That's not why you bought it. It's not why I bought mine either. I bought mine because it's a big wearable dive watch that says, I'm not a submariner. I'm bigger than that. I have the James Cameron for that too, but that watch says, I'm big, I'm bad, and I'm a little uncomfortable. Whereas the Sea Dweller, far more humane to wear. Okay, guys, listen, I want to thank you for having joined me. This was a good session. I will be doing more of these so I can just pump out some content for you. Pump and dump the content. Paint the sky your favorite color. I got to time this now. This is Goldberg. Peace out.